welcome to Anwar. Today, we're talking about Anwar's promise to uphold Sabah's sovereignty in selecting its chief minister. We should probably just jump right in and set the scene here. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim was at a pretty major event recently.
Oh, yeah, the Prime Minister's dialogue with the Chinese community in Kota Kinabalu banquet.
That's the one. And he used that platform to deliver a message that could really reshape the whole political dynamic between Putrajaya and Sabah.
It was huge. I mean, this wasn't just another campaign speech. This laid out the operating principle for the Hope Alliance, their whole approach to Sabah's future. The message was extremely direct.
Okay, so let's break that down. The first big thing, the absolute commitment he made about the chief minister position.
It couldn't have been clearer. He said the Hope Alliance will not nominate any chief minister candidate for the upcoming 17th Sabah state election, period.
And that's monumental, right? Because historically, that's not how it's worked.
Not at all. I mean, for decades, you have to understand, the coalition in charge at the federal level has always had a very heavy hand in who leads the states, especially in East Malaysia.
They'd essentially handpick their person.
Or at the very least, they'd heavily vet them. It made local autonomy feel like, a bit of a myth sometimes. So for Anwar to come out and say, entirely up to the people of Sabah, that's a big deal.
So is this just good politics to win over local support, or do you think it's a genuine shift in principle?
He's definitely framing it as a conviction. He's trying to legitimize the outcome of the state election before it even happens by taking the federal government out of the equation. It suggests they'll respect the choice, even if it's not their preferred ally.
But that's a risk, isn't it? There's a tension there. The federal government needs a cooperative partner in Kota Kinabalu for national development, for all these big projects.
But that's the tightrope they're walking. They're making it clear that cooperation will continue. Funds, projects, administration, all that keeps going.
But it stops short of the top job.
It stops right at the chief minister's office. It's a very clear line in the sand. They're basically saying, we'll work with who you elect. But then they added a pretty big condition.
Which leads to the second point. It's not just about who leads, but how they lead.
Exactly. Once he took the who off the table, he immediately shifted the focus to the standard of governance. He said the Hope Alliance's mission is to field, and I'm quoting here, excellent candidates who are there only to serve the public.
And he was specific about what he wants to avoid. He mentioned corruption and abuse of power, which, let's be honest, have been major issues holding Sabah back.
Oh, absolutely. These problems are, often seen as the key reasons why the state hasn't reached its full economic potential. When you talk about maximizing tourism or natural resources, you first have to plug the leaks in the system.
So the vision for a new Sabah really starts with clean governance.
It has to. Otherwise, all the public funds, the huge ringgit amounts for infrastructure and development, they just don't get where they're supposed to go.
Okay, so how do they enforce that standard if they've promised not to intervene? They can't pick the CM, but they're still making these demands.
The mechanism he talked about was systemic collaboration. He stressed that the next state government, whoever it is, must get all parties to cooperate and seriously review every single development project.
Every single one. That sounds like a massive undertaking.
It is. It suggests a process where state agencies and maybe even federal bodies like the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission are involved to ensure transparency before the money is spent. It's about building safeguards into the system itself, not just punishing people after the fact.
So it's a shift from being reactive to proactive.
That's the idea. To change the reputation from one of, corruption to one of integrity. That's how you make the new Sabah brand attractive.
Let's talk more about that vision for a new Sabah.
Yeah.
We know it needs to be clean, but what's the actual development plan here?
Well, the focus is on structured, coordinated development. Sabah has incredible potential. It's a gateway to Southeast Asia. It's rich in resources. But to unlock that, you need huge infrastructure upgrades, better connectivity, things like that.
And that requires the state and federal governments to be perfectly in sync.
Exactly. And the Prime Minister actually pointed to a recent example as a sort of blueprint.
Oh, right. He mentioned the working relationship with the previous caretaker state government.
He did. He said that partnership was strong, it got approvals done quickly, and it put projects on the fast track. He sees that as the model for the future. The idea is to remove the political friction that so often stalls progress.
And then he connected all of this to something bigger, to Malaysia's multiracial harmony.
Which was a fascinating point. He basically framed that social harmony as a powerful economic asset. Look, when international investors are deciding where to put their money, they're looking for stability. A peaceful, predictable environment is a huge draw. He said few nations achieve the level of peaceful coexistence Malaysia has, and that's a key selling point.
So he's telling the people of Sabah, protect this unity because it directly impacts your economic future.
Yes. It means the next chief minister's ability to manage those societal dynamics is now directly tied to investment decisions. It's not just about politics anymore. It's about the economy. It's about making sure that ringgit is safe.
And that ties directly into the international picture he was painting.
It does. He connected local stability to global opportunity. He was very clear that his administration is focused on strengthening the economy through aggressive international relationship building.
He listed some big names: China, the United States,
Yeah.
countries in Africa, Europe.
And the goal is purely economic. These aren't just diplomatic courtesy calls. It's about trade, it's about investment, and it's about creating opportunities that flow directly back to states like Sabah and Sarawak.
He also made a pretty bold claim about Malaysia's current standing in the world.
He did. He said that even though Malaysia is a small nation, it's now getting significant global attention and respect. And he gave some very specific examples to back that up.
This is where he mentioned the phone calls, right?
Yes. He brought up recent contact from the leaders of Cambodia, Thailand, and notably the current U.S. President, Trump. And he made a point of saying, I didn't ask for the calls, they contacted me.
That's a strong statement. It's meant to project confidence and stability on the world stage.
Absolutely. He's attributing this surge in global interest to Malaysia's peace, its economic strength, and the political stability under the unity government.
So the implication is that this new global respect is the key to unlocking the national economy.
Exactly. But for a state like Sabah to really benefit from, say, a huge Chinese investment or new U.S. technology, it has to meet that high standard of governance we talked about earlier.
Global respect and local accountability. They're two sides of the same coin.
The same ringgit coin, yes. It's a clever strategy. The federal government brings in the opportunities from the global stage, and by demanding clean governance, they empower the state to actually execute those projects properly and realize the potential of that new Sabah.
So if we pull it all together, he's basically drawn a new contract with Sabah.
I think that's a good way to put it. On one side, you have the promise of respecting autonomy, no more interfering in who becomes chief minister. But on the other side, there's a non-negotiable demand for high standards of governance to fight corruption and leverage this new global standing for local growth.
Which brings up a really tough question. The whole thing creates this powerful tension. If the federal government is so focused on preventing corruption, but has also promised not to intervene, what happens if Sabah elects a chief minister that Putrajaya sees as, well, untrustworthy or potentially corrupt?
That is the ultimate test of this new approach, isn't it?
It is. I mean, what specific tools, short of direct intervention, could they even use to hold that government accountable without breaking their biggest promise?
That's something to think about. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.